Lovers, my name is Carrie and this is Spines and Spoilers. As you can see, there is a very different setup today. I don't like the way that my bookshelves look right now. Actually, I kind of want to redo them completely. I think they look musty and dusty and cluttered. So right now, I'm just gonna film from the couch. Plus, I have something special planned for today. So today, for my October TBR, I'm basically going to let fate decide what I'm reading throughout the month of October. So my original plan, mind you, was to pick about 15 books for October, maybe 15 for November, you know, and to have maybe like 30-40 books available in my little pumpkin here. But for the last couple of months, basically every time I found the name of a book that I really wanted to read, that sounded interesting, that was vaguely like spoopy or had a fall atmosphere, I've been writing down the names, and then I wrote everything down on little slips, folded them up, put them in my little pumpkin. Oh my god, please don't fall out. I don't need that kind of stress in my life. Anyway, as you can see, there's much more than 30 or 40 names in here. I just counted them just for funsies. There's 120 books in here. Like, there's 120 names of books. I can't read 120 books in 2 months. I've done a lot of things, but I don't think I can do that. So we're going to split this up quite a bit. So my thoughts are, there are 120 in here, right? And there are 12 months in the year, yes, smarty. So I'm thinking that I'm going to break it up into maybe 10 per month. Like, do 10 per month. If I finish those 10, just dip in and pull some more, and if I run out early, then I run out early. I mean, I consider that to be a good thing. So it would start this October and end next October. Do I have the self-control and concentration to pull this off? I don't know. Can I prevent myself from going into a reading slump? Probably not. But what I'm banking on is the fact that usually when I end up in a reading slump, I won't read for like 2 months or so, but then I'll come back strong. Like, for instance, I didn't read anything at all for several months, from like March to September, I think, and then like the last week of September I knocked out like 10 books like it was no business. So that's what I'm counting on, that my fight or flight will just kick in and I'll be like, I've only got a month left to read like 30 books in, you know, it can happen. It's happened before. I believe in myself. I can do this. I've done much more difficult things. That being said, let me go ahead and pick my 10 books for October. Okay, so the first one, if I cannot break my pumpkin, it must be a long one because it's orange, is The Death of Jane Lawrence. Don't know if you can see that. It's probably backwards. I've heard a lot of good things about this one. So this book is by Caitlin Starling. I've heard it compared a lot to Crimson Peak, so that gives me a lot of hope. I love Crimson Peak. It's one of my absolute favorite movies. I would put it top 20, easy, maybe top 10, I don't know. Just the overall aesthetic of the movie alone puts it in top 20, so the rest of it has to bump it up. But anyway, I'm rambling. So The Death of Jane Lawrence. It is, according to Goodreads, practical, unassuming Jane Shoringfield has done the calculations and decided that the most secure path forward is this: a husband. Well, we'll see about that. A husband in the marriage of convenience who will allow her to remain independent and occupied with meaningful work. Her first choice, the dashing but reclusive Dr. Augustine Lawrence, agrees to her proposal only with one condition: that she must never visit Lindridge Hall. That does sound very Crimson Peak. His crumbling family manor outside of town. Yet on their wedding night, an accident strands her at his door in a pitch-black rainstorm, and she finds him changed. Gone is the bold, courageous surgeon, and in his place is a terrified, paranoid man, one who cannot tell reality from nightmare and fears Jane is an apparition come to haunt him. Oh my god, yes, this is very Crimson Peak. I love the sound of this. But that is The Death of Jane Lawrence. I'm really excited for this one, I'm not gonna lie. I have an ebook copy of it, so I'm just gonna put a picture up. I don't have a physical copy of a lot of these books, honestly. I'm starting to get a little bit more into audiobooks and ebooks than I ever was before. They're so much more convenient and they're so much more environmentally friendly, you know. And yeah, that's probably going to be a lot of what I'm reading in the future, to be perfectly honest. And I'm sorry, because I know part of the reason that one watches booktube videos is kind of for the aesthetic. But I'll probably start going to the library more often too, so hopefully that'll help with that issue. I don't know. Let's see what number 2 is. Let's try for something other than orange this time if we can. Let's get a pink. What are you? What the? I accidentally put one of my typos in there, so we're gonna try again. That wasn't supposed to be in there. Okay, we got a green instead. What's this green? The Vegetarian. And you definitely can't see that. The Vegetarian is by Hong Kong, and it is translated by Deborah Smith. Hong Kong is from Korea, I believe, and it was originally written in Korean and translated to English. But according to Goodreads, before the nightmare, Hyung Hae and her husband lived an ordinary life. But when splintering, blood-soaked images start haunting her thoughts, Hyung Hae decides to purge her mind and renounce eating meat. In a country where societal mores are strictly obeyed, Hyung Hae's decision to embrace a more plant-like existence is a shocking act of subversion. And as her passive rebellion manifests in ever more extreme and frightening forms, scandal, abuse, and estrangement begin to send Hyung Hae spiraling deep into the spaces of her fantasy. In a complete metamorphosis of both mind and body, her now dangerous endeavor will take Hyung Hae impossibly, ecstatically, tragically far from her once known self altogether. I'll be honest, I was really looking forward to this one, but now that I'm seeing some of the reviews, not so much. But we're gonna read it anyway, and if my brain just cannot get through it, I'll put it down. I will DNF it. A lot of people are saying it's arduous though, and just like drags. Anyway, we're just not gonna pay attention to those, because yeah, it's just gonna dissuade me. So, a little hesitant about that one. Let's pick number 3. Hopefully it will be the one that isn't a mistake. We'll have to see. It's a pink one, and it is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which is not a horror, but it feels a little bit like it has a fall atmosphere. So it was originally written in Japanese by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and it was translated by Geoffrey Trousselat, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And according to Goodreads, in a small back alley in Tokyo, there is a cafe which has been serving carefully brewed coffee for more than 100 years. But this coffee shop offers its customers a unique experience, the chance to travel back in time. And we're just gonna go off of the summary that I've heard. Basically, people get to come in and they get to choose to relive a moment in time, but they have to be back before their coffee gets cold. I don't want to look too far into it because I don't want to spoil anything else for myself, but it sounds like a really interesting concept, and it sounded just like atmospheric enough to go in my pumpkin jug. I can't even explain why, but it's given me kind of fall vibes. I guess because of the coffee? I have no idea. Also, I know it looks like there's just like a dark abyss behind me. That is my kitchen, and it is a mess, so we're leaving the light off, because no, I don't want you to see all that. But that one has been getting some interesting word of mouth. It sounds really interesting. Anyway, number 4. Let me see. I need to stop looking. I got another green one. I don't know what that means. It means I can't open it. Verity. That one I remember nothing about. That must have been a random toss-in. Why would I do this to myself? It's a Colleen Hoover book. Maybe I just didn't realize that it was. I don't like her. But we're gonna try it. We're gonna try to muscle through. I said I was gonna do it. Yeah, Verity by Colleen Hoover, and this is what Goodreads has to say about it. Loan Ashley is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job offer of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Loan to complete the remaining books in this successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. Loan arrives at the Crawford home, ready to sort through years of Verity's notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get started. What Loan doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read. Page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's collection of what really happened the day her daughter died. Loan decides to keep the manuscript hidden from Jeremy, knowing its contents would devastate the already grieving father. But as Loan's feelings for Jeremy began to intensify, she recognizes all the ways she could benefit if he were to read his wife's words. After all, no matter how devoted Jeremy is to his injured wife, a truth this horrifying would make it impossible for him to continue to love her. Okay, never mind. I can kind of see why I would find that interesting. Fine. I'm sorry, past me. I apologize. That does sound pretty interesting. I love stuff like that where you find like old letters or old journals that someone's been writing and it turns out that they've been up to something nefarious or seem to be up to something devious, whether it actually be true or not. Either way, I love that shit. So, makes sense. I'm not gonna say that I'm super excited for that one because, again, I don't like Colleen Hoover and I'm super annoyed at myself for putting it on the list. But I'm more excited than I was before. I'm not dreading it now. On to number 5, which I'll hopefully be more excited about. Let's try a yellow. I can't tell what these say from on the outside anyway. Ooh, The Swallows, a ghost story. I think this is a graphic novel? Okay, apparently I was wrong. It is a middle grade novel by Chris Cotter. According to Goodreads, in 1960s Toronto, 2 girls retreat into their attics to escape the loneliness and isolation of their lives. Polly lives in a house bursting at the seams with people, while Rose is often left alone by her busy parents. Polly is a down-to-earth dreamer with a wild imagination and an obsession with ghosts. Rose is a quiet, ethereal waif with a sharp tongue. Despite their differences, both girls spend their days feeling invisible and seek solace in books in the cozy confines of their respective attics. But soon they discover they aren't alone. They're actually neighbors, sharing a wall. They develop an unlikely friendship, and Polly is ecstatic to learn that Rose can actually see and talk to ghosts. Maybe she will finally see one too. But is there more to Rose than it seems? Why does no one ever talk to her? And why does she look so ghostly? When the girls find a tombstone with Rose's name on it in the cemetery and encounter an angry spirit in her house who seems intent on hurting Polly, they have to unravel the mystery of Rose and her strange family before it's too late. Okay, I see why I was interested in that. It sounds a lot like... there's a Goosebump book where the neighbor is a ghost, or it turns out they're a ghost. It's a good thing I can't remember the name, otherwise that would have been a real spoiler. But yeah, that sounds interesting. That sounds really cute, and it sounds very, like, spoopy. Not, like, actually creepy, but yeah. Alright, my husband is officially on the way home, so I'm only going to film, like, one or two more today, depending on how long it takes for him to get here, because I don't like filming in front of people, and I'm in the living room right now. So let me go ahead and pick number 6, or apparently 6 and 7. Alright, we're gonna go with the blue first. Pen pal. Cool. I know quite a bit about this, but I haven't read the actual book, I don't think. It's based on... I'm not sure if it's actually true events, but I know it was turned into a creepypasta that's basically about a stalker who follows a boy throughout his entire life. So, yeah. Thankfully I already know enough about it for it not to be an issue, but I actually do have, like, stalker triggers because I was legitimately stalked at one point. Super fun. Yeah. But I am actually excited for that one. I enjoyed the creepypasta, So I'm intrigued to see what the actual story is like. But now for the orange one that I drew with the blue one, the price guide to the occult. I know very little about this one. I just know it was everywhere for a little while. A lot of these, I've like heard of them and I've looked up the synopsis and I thought it sounded interesting, but I have the memory of a goldfish, so by this point I remember nothing about it. But it's by Leslie Walton. When Rona Blackburn landed on Anathema Island more than a century ago, her otherworldly skills might have benefited friendlier neighbors. Guilt and fear instead led the island's original 8 settlers to burn the witch out of her home. So Rona cursed them. Fast forward 100 some years, all Nor Blackburn wants is to live an unremarkable teenage life. She has reason to hope. First, her supernatural powers, if they can be called that, are unexceptional. Second, her love life is non-existent, which means she might escape the other perverse side effect of the matriarch's backfiring curse too. But then a mysterious book comes out promising to cast any spell for the right price. Nora senses a storm coming and is pretty sure she'll be smack in the eye of it. In her second novel, Leslie Walton spins a dark, mesmerizing tale of a girl stumbling along the path towards self-acceptance and first love, even as the price guide's malevolent author, Nora's own mother, looms and threatens to strangle any hope for happiness. That sounds slightly miserable, but interesting. I feel bad for Nora already. Okay, I only have 3 left. Maybe I can squeeze them out. We'll have to see. I don't want to rush this too much. Let's see. I have 2 oranges, 1 blue, 2 greens, a yellow, and a pink. So hopefully I won't get another orange or green. I just dropped a pink, so we're gonna go with that. These Witches Don't Burn. So These Witches Don't Burn is a young adult novel by Isabel Sterling, and according to Goodreads, Hannah is a witch, but not the kind you're thinking of. She is the real deal, an elemental with the power to control fire, earth, water, and air. Sweet. But even though she lives in Salem, Massachusetts, her magic is a secret she has to keep to herself. If she's ever caught using it in front of a reg, non-witch, muggle, she could lose it for good. So Hannah spends most of her time avoiding her ex-girlfriend and fellow elemental witch, Veronica, hanging out with her best friend, and working at the fly-by-night cauldron selling candles and crystals to tourist Scots and local Wiccans. But dealing with her ex is the least of Hannah's concerns when a terrifying blood ritual interrupts the end-of-school-year bonfire. Evidence of dark magic begins to appear all over Salem, and Hannah's sure it's the work of a deadly blood witch. The issue is, her coven is less than convinced, forcing Hannah to team up with the last person she wants to see, Veronica. While the pair attempt to smoke out the blood witch at a house party, Hannah meets Morgan, a cute new ballerina in town, but trying to date amid a supernatural crisis is easier said than done. Hannah will have to test the limits of her power if she's going to save her coven and get the girl, especially when the attacks on Salem's witches becomes deadlier by the day. Oh my gosh, this sounds so cute, and it's LGBTQIA plus friendly, and yeah, this sounds adorable, and I'm excited to read it, to be perfectly honest. That was 8, we got 2 more. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can make it, baby. Okay, so we got a blue one. What are you? The Push. I've heard a lot of good things about this one. I can't remember what it's about. Okay, so The Push is a psychological thriller written by Ashley Audrain. And to summarize, Blythe Connor is determined that she will be the warm, comforting mother to her new baby Violet that she herself never had. And in the thick of motherhood's exhausting early days, Blythe becomes convinced that something is wrong with her daughter. She doesn't behave like most children do. This does not sound good so far. Or is it all in Blythe's head? Her husband, Fox, says she's imagining things. The more Fox dismisses her fears, the more Blythe begins to question her own sanity. And the more we begin to question what Blythe is telling us about her life as well. Then their son Sam is born, and with him, Blythe has the blissful connection she always imagined with her child. Even Violet seems to love her little brother. But when life as they know it is changed in an instant, the devastating fallout forces Blythe to face the truth. The Push is a tour de force you will read in a sitting. An utterly immersive novel that will challenge everything you think you know about motherhood, about what we owe our children, and what it feels like when women are not believed. It kind of ties into a couple of books that I have read or have been reading recently, like the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. There's a lot of gaslighting in that, and a lot about the expectations of motherhood and how people just dismiss women. And then there's another one that I'm currently reading called The Haunting of Alejandra, I believe, which is kind of based on the story of La Llorona, I think is how it's pronounced, which has similar concepts. But yeah, that sounds really interesting. Not kind of what I expected it to be about, but I'm intrigued. Okay, so we only have one left. I might make it. Okay, so I wish there was kind of someone else here to like pick the last one. This feels so dramatic. Let's see. I need a yellow. We're gonna try. I'm just gonna pick a yellow. I don't know what's in it. I've folded these in a way that they're all pretty symmetrical, and I can't really tell what's on the outside. Things have gotten worse since we last spoke. That one looks interesting. This is a queer horror novel by Eric LaRocca, apparently, and circulates around sadomasochism, obsession, and death. A whirlpool of darkness churns at the heart of macabre ballet between two lonely young women in an internet chat room in the early 2000s. Early 2000s chat room is already pretty spooky. A darkness that threatens to forever transform them once they finally succumb to their most horrific desires. What have you done today to deserve your eyes? Oh god, that sounds horrifying. So I guess this is like a short story because it's only 120 pages. Oh my god, that sounds... I see why I put it up. Thing is, I've technically heard the synopses of all of these before and thought that they sound interesting. I've just forgotten them. So I did it. I can't believe I made it. I've got all of these lovely little books for my October TBR, which is honestly a little shorter than I would have liked, but these are the particular books that I will focus on for my vlog for October. So wish me luck. I hope that you guys are doing great out there. I hope that you are staying safe. Please stay safe. I can't insist upon this enough. There are hurricanes going on out there. It's about to get really cold. You know, plus COVID still exists. it does still exist, even if the world wants to act like it doesn't. So yeah, just please take care of yourselves. I would really appreciate it. It would be load off my mind. Apparently, Fenris decided to come up to help me film my exit. This is Fenris. He is a large boy. He used to be my girlfriend's cat before she moved to Japan, and he moved in with us. He is such a good boy. But anyway, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and most importantly, I'm conducting a musical. Love yourself. Bye. Come back to me.